I'm back in my office for the first time in a week and a half.
How does it feel?
I don't like it. I want to be back in the garage where my people are.
Isn't that what animals in heat? Don't they have to like get out? Isn't that what it, like seriously?
I'm not going to answer that question, but I did feel like I needed to get out. Like I was like, I got to get outside. I miss like
animals in heat.
I got a kid. I can't work from anywhere. So at least I'll just work.
Heat need to go outside
from the front yard.
I like that, Mike. I mean, I'll go out in the front yard and work sometimes. You got a neighbor that walks by, you're like, hey. Or they'll start talking to you and you've got your headphones on and you can't hear them and then they think you're ignoring them. And you kind of are.
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, yesterday I was working from the garage and these two girls come up and one's maybe 9, one's maybe 11. And they've got a package of grocery store cupcakes. And I'm on a call with you guys. So you may have heard the beginning of their little pitch. So eventually I like muted myself for a second and I had to go get my wife. They're like, she starts blowing through a spiel that she's obviously been trained on. Hello, my name is so-and-so and I'm raising money to go to my first time to Animal Kingdom. Would you like to buy a cupcake for $5 or you can do this or that? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm on a call. And she just keeps on with her spiel. Like she has been trained, get through this spiel. And so I go to my wife and I'm like, do we have any money? And we can't find any cash. But these girls walked around and I saw them a couple minutes later and that whole thing of cupcakes was gone. So that's 12. And they were charging at least $5 a cupcake. So man, these girls are hustling. And I don't know if they're going to Animal Kingdom, but if they are, they're going to buy some souvenirs.
What if they were like the kid that Bobby ran into at the breakfast place where he was just bringing around the box of M&Ms and that he had like, said that he was, what was he raising?
Oh, he was raising money for cancer. Yeah, for cancer patients.
See,
I guess at least these girls were like, this is a fun thing that we're going to go do for ourselves.
Yeah, they weren't trying to guilt me into it. But the thing about it, the tactic I most resonated with or that I've thought about since is she went so fast and she put out so much information. One, you couldn't interrupt, you couldn't clarify. And two, we couldn't really understand her. So, I think that shuts down all sales objections if you just go really fast.
Steamroll through your pitch.
Steamroll through.
Yeah.
I like and that. Also like show up to someone like while they're on a business call and like immediately begin to give them your spiel. And they appeared from around the corner because like I'm in the corner of the garage and they start walking up and then she's telling me. I'm like, who are you? Should I be afraid?
By the way, it is a symptom of like animals going into heat that they have to go roam. And I remember that when our golden retriever went into heat for the first time, really needed to get outside. Like had a strong urge to just be outside, get outside. So that's just interesting.
Sometimes people just want to be outside though.
Yeah, totally. No, it could be that too. To me, it's like just trying to follow the science of it.
Yeah, I've always thought of you
Master of Science, Bobby Hoyt.
A real science guy.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to mycology,
that's true.
Yes.
Which there will be degree programs launching next fall in that.
All right. Well, I have a questionable decision topic. It's not a question, but no, it is a question.
You do a lot of clarifying during these parts. Hit us. Hit us.
I need to practice my pitch. I need to just
like that girl
through like those girls did. Okay. So I want to talk to you about tipping today, and I have a question about it, and I'm going to tell you all these things about it, and you guys are going to agree with me on everything. Okay? Good. Let's go.
I guess
like
so.
that. Was that
great.
Good? All right.
Yeah, what am I going to say to that?
To just agree with
I don't even have time to unwind it, and now you're moving on to the next thing. I love it. You're going to be on sales calls for
we're going to talk. I'm going to be great. So we're going to talk about tipping, and as everyone knows, tipping seems to have changed quite a bit.
Yeah, when I was young, we went out in the fields, and the cows were just already there. Now you have to like go and look for them, and we live in a more urban place.
You have to keep steamrolling, Ariel. You have to keep steamrolling.
Okay. Tell me how you guys feel about tipping right now.
Just so you know, Bobby, I'm going to be coming in real hot with this one. So you decide if you want to go first or second.
I'll go second.
It is this new standard of tipping everyone, everywhere, all at once has created, at least in me, and I think in many others, the inverse effect. I am getting stingy with my tips. Not because I'm not I've always, I think, been a pretty generous tipper, but like I am getting like so fatigued, and this is obviously a big thing, in the news, and I've read lots of things on it. But like, I don't do any round. They're like, would you like to give to childhood pediatric cancer? No. Would you like to tip? Would you like to add a little bit of money for this? No. Like, I'm done. So I think that there's a clear standard that you tip people who provide hospitable service to you, not who perform their job function in relation to you as a customer. So we tip waitresses because they are there to make our experience enjoyable. So I think that there's a standard of who's to be tipped, and that's like why we're doing it, as a thanks for them offering hospitality. So, the barista pouring the black coffee, or
I mean, one of the things that I noticed immediately after, it all started like around COVID too, I think, especially with dining out, because you couldn't go, out to eat. You could, whatever, like besides that, but you would do takeout. Takeout became the thing that everybody wanted to do, takeout from restaurants. And so the restaurants, like, you might tip a couple bucks before for somebody who's like getting you your takeout that you ordered, but you're not going to leave them a 20% tip on that. But then all of a sudden, like, that is presented to you when they give you the thing to fill out. It's like you're then tipping 20% all the time. Like,
the suggested ones are 18, 20, 22%. They're starting
that
high.
And I just like that one. Originally, like when it started, I was like, yeah, I'll tip you more because you're not seeing as many orders and making as much money. And like, I feel like I can tip you this much right now. But then when the restaurant started like filling back up, I'm like, wait a second. Now I don't have all the money that I want to go out to eat because I'm tipping everybody like 20% on everything. And so bakeries, like if you go just pick up food from anywhere or coffee or anything, like you would normally tip a barista or wait staff. But yeah, where are you at with this, Bobby?
I have been really challenging myself to be more generous for the last 6 months, maybe even more than that. This is like a weird story. I was running, I went to Fredericksburg for a little family trip, and I was running, which I don't normally run, but my head gets really like, my thoughts get really clear. And I had this thought, or this like feeling of like, generosity will grow my tree. And I don't know what that comes from or why or whatever. But that was just very like, that stuck out to me a lot. And it was very like profound to me. And so I have been probably over tipping and over doing a lot of that stuff lately. Because I feel it's the right thing to do in a lot of situations, but that doesn't mean like, I think that there are some limits to that. Like if I see a situation where it's like, I'm tipping somebody and they literally did nothing, like I don't do that generally. Yeah. But like if there is an opportunity to tip, or if there is an opportunity to round up, or is that kind of thing, like I've just been doing it even if it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know if there's any net benefit of that to me throughout my life or anything, but it's just been something I've been really challenging myself to do because I wouldn't have done that 2 or 3 years ago.
Has that changed? Has it been because of, I mentioned that so many places have these, like the point of sale systems all prompt the tip now in a way that they didn't before. Like, is this because of that? Are they related at all? Or did this just grow out of something else?
I think it grew out of something else. I don't know. I'm probably over tipping often. I never do less than 20% ever. Even if somebody, I err on the side too of like, if somebody gives me bad service, I'm like, well, they probably had a bad day, or there's something really bad maybe going on in their life. Or even if they don't deserve it, maybe they need this money. I don't like it when it is clearly like some kind of automated tipping system where like if you go pick food up, like that's the one where I have the biggest moral dilemma when it's like, if I order takeout and I go into a restaurant and somebody, like, I'll still tip, but I'm not tipping a lot because it's like that person did almost nothing. But I still tip because I would feel bad if I didn't. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. Okay. That's why there's a Mexican restaurant that we go to pretty often, and we do takeout from there every once in a while. And like, it's like during the first like several months or year after like the pandemic started, they had an 18% gratuity built in to takeout orders because that's all that they were doing. And like, I understand that. And then after that, they got rid of it. But like, I still wanted to tip them something. And so it would be like, because they're wonderful people. Like we go there all the time. We seem like they know us, we know them. And they're just they're just nice people doing a good job. So I tip them. But yeah, I do feel that same moral dilemma. Like, I don't feel compelled to tip you 20% of this $60 order, but I still want to say thank you. So
I did get a little bit jaded at the golf club that I'm a member of. Like, they do this thing. I hate this practice that they do. They do a service charge and then they put a tip line on the bottom of it as well. And there was a girl that used to work at the club she was a bartender. And for months, me and my buddies were like, what is this service charge? Like, what is this? Like, who gets this? And she was like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was like, how do you not know? Like, how do you not know what this is? Well, you just have no idea what the service charge is. But for months, always. She eventually left or quit or something. I don't know. It turns out that the service charge is the tip. And then they put the tip on the line too. And so it was a tip in addition to the service charge. So I was like, we were all way, way over tipping.
Yeah.
But there was dishonesty there. And that pissed me off because I was just like, that's crazy. Like, just tell us what it is. And it's like, because I thought it was something where it was like a tip share. And it wasn't even that. It was just straight up a tip, So that kind of stuff, I don't like that. I don't like the forced service charges. Like, give me the opportunity to tip in a very honest way.
Or let there be a service charge, but say what it is for. Like, be honest about, this is making sure that all of the people here receive a certain amount of gratuity for what they're doing. Like, be honest about it. Be upfront about it.
I mean, I think we're saying much of the same thing, Bobby, that I love to tip people who, well, I guess in that way, we have for example, I've
seen you tip before. You're a good tipper. Well, just to put that out there.
I really do think though, you mentioned being jaded at certain things. I think that is the point, is that it's expected, and it's not like a tip is something that I'm not going to tip you unless you serve me great. I mean, there is sort of an expectation that you'll provide good service and that I'll provide a tip. Like, that is sort of the social contract we have. I think that in a lot of cases now though, it is completely expected and even demanded. Like, you've seen someone like the DoorDash drivers who get a $5 tip and they, knock on the door and what the hell is this? So why don't you give me a bigger tip? Like, it's not due to you. But some of the other things that you mentioned there, if there is a built-in gratuity, I oftentimes have a number in my mind when the bill comes. Like, I know how much it's going to be, or I see the dollar amount and I know exactly how much I'm going to give. And I would say probably this year alone, there's probably been 5 instances where the number in my mind was a lot bigger than the number that they have for the 15, 16, 18% gratuity. But if you include that, I'm not giving anymore. Like, you're saying, this is how much you should thank me. And to me, it is, I mean, I know that we're dealing with individual and service staff here that maybe aren't the ones making the decisions, but just from a business standpoint, it's a little upsetting when you presume upon that gratuity. And maybe I understand if it's a large group or something, but we see built-in gratuity for 2 people having lunch or dinner. I think you have to ask yourself, the reason why we even have tipping in restaurants, let's say, is because of the way that they pay their employees, and we then pay for the service of their wait staff, bringing us our food and taking care of us while we're paying the restaurant, quote unquote, for the food in the bill itself. So if that's the understanding, if that's why we're doing it, then that needs to be sort of the orienting philosophy behind why and how much we give. Whereas right now it's just kind of pay, you'll pay a gratuity as a way of saying thanks for your wait staff, and that is their salary. It's like we as consumers have been sort of a bait and switch sort of why we're even giving a tip. If we're doing that and if it's built in, just increase your prices and say no gratuity. Like, it feels when you have to force the gratuity, it doesn't feel good.
I don't know the answer to this. I'd love to talk to some restaurant owners, but I would imagine that because I don't know how, is it everywhere in the United States where people that are basically wait staff get very, very low? Because when I was 16, I worked at Mexican restaurant. It was the wait staff got paid $2 an hour or something. And was tips on top
I
of
worked at a German restaurant and then a wine bar, and it was $2.13 an hour was our hourly.
Is that to keep I guess it's is that to keep the food prices lower? I wonder what the rationale, the official rationale behind that is. It's is that so the restaurants can keep the food prices lower so that more people will come into the restaurants, and then because of that, it's like there's more opportunities for tips for the wait staff, or it's like if you increased your payroll costs exponentially and then included all of that in an hourly that was like really healthy, would the food prices be so much that less people come in to actually get the food? And I don't know. I would love to talk to somebody that runs a restaurant. Like, is that why we're doing this? Or is there some other, what is it?
We had some friends who owned a Filipino restaurant here in St. Louis, and they started as a food truck and then had a brick and mortar and then had several brick and mortars. And they were doing away with tips and just increasing the price of their food and paying everyone in the restaurant what's considered a livable wage, or more than the $2 or $5 or however little it was at that point that servers made, and definitely more than minimum wage. And they were doing that, and it was like, I think there was a movement of restaurants that were doing that because it was like, as a server, this is work that you're doing. It shouldn't be like your ability to make money shouldn't be tied to like somebody just being like, thanks for doing your job. Like, it should be, you're paid to do your job. This is what you're doing. The prices on food went up. And what was interesting, I remember talking to them about it, was that nobody complained about the prices going up on food. It was like $1 or $2, like not a lot, but people still wanted to tip. They were like, where do I leave a tip? So they just like had a tip bucket out and it was shared by everyone. But I mean, it worked to raise the prices and pay everybody well. But yeah, it's people still want to tip. It's like this, it's built into the eating out culture.
That's kind of my point is, I don't think consumers are stingy or greedy. And I certainly would never want to be stingy or greedy, but it's being honest about what you're charging for. So if you eliminate tipping, and I can look at the menu and I can see what I'm agreeing to pay you for an item, then we have an agreement. I'll pay you for the item, and then I may want to thank the staff in addition. But it's this kind of like, here's the price, and then we expect you have to tip even for something, when an employee hasn't done anything. I mean, literally the example, and I do get it. I get black coffee most of where I go, and it's like, would you like to leave a tip? No, I wouldn't. Like, I'm paying you $5 for this black cup of coffee that you just poured the handle for. And then my favorite ones are whenever I find myself at a Panera or something and they're just handing you the cup. They didn't even pour the coffee. But I think it's sort of just a muddying of what is our agreement, as a consumer versus in a company. Like, what am I paying you for the products and services I'm receiving? And then where is my opportunity to say thank you and to give gratuity and to be generous? I just think they get a little muddied.
Yeah. I think the free market will decide eventually, because you do see a lot of people starting to complain about this. I have a feeling that it's going to self-regulate, hopefully a little bit, or maybe it won't. But I do really want to know, like, what is maybe I'll just Google it after this, but like, what is the reason for the tipping structure? And I do think too, if you just do a service charge, like, does that mean that you don't have to train your wait staff as well? Like, is there less incentive to have like a really, really, really well trained wait staff that's like very, very good with customers, if the wait staff knows that they're just going to make whatever on whatever, So like, I don't know. And then like, restaurants are such a terrible margin business anyway. So like, is it something to do with that? Like,
I looked up, why our servers pay, like basically the question that you were asking. And the answer that the Labor Law Center has for me is that the reason that the server minimum wage is so low is simple. Servers make tips. I'm like, but that's not this is like a chicken and egg situation here.
Yeah, it's a circular. It's like, they're low because they make tips because they're low.
Right. Yeah. Well, I do have, if you guys want to go on this tipping journey with me a little bit more, I have some like, Emily Post has always had guidance on etiquette, regarding all numbers of things. Tipping, she has information on. A lot of articles right now about what is appropriate to tip in different situations. And so I just want to like go through some of these with you. And we know, Bobby, that you are going to be more generous than these, and we appreciate you, and so does the service staff of the world. So thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Nuts right now.
Thank you. But let's pretend for a second that you were a normal human being who doesn't want to
that's
give
gonna be hard.
everybody.
Mm.
Pretend that you're not Zaddy Hoyt right now, okay?
Yeah.
And you are just Bobby, regular old
Just
Bobby. So Emily Post says, wait service, a sit-down restaurant, 15 to 20% pre-tax. I feel like now it's 20 to 25. That's
Mhm.
I
my
do a minimum of
guess.
20.
See,
Mm.
I normally give 20 to 25, but you even saying I think it's now 20 to 25. Why is that crept up? Like, why is that the case? Food, everything else, all the costs have gone up. So why as a percentage are we giving? Just I'm talking from
'Cause
from an expectation standpoint.
I mean, for
Inflation?
me, it's just like an
Wow.
understanding that everything costs more, and these people are already not making as much as a lot of other professions, and they.
But what I'm
need,
saying is,
you
we're
know,
giving if we're talking about a percentage, the cost of the product or service, the cost of the bill has definitely gone up. And so now, in addition to the expectation being that we would give more money, but as a percentage, now the percentage itself has gone up. And I do
Yes.
think that's how people are thinking. I think that there sort of has been a shift to 20, 25%, which again, nothing wrong with that. Love to see it. But it's this expectation that like you go out and all of a sudden you got to add a quarter of your bill every single time in every single instance.
Okay, what about buffet? How is that different? A buffet. What would you tip wait service at a buffet? I mean, they're going to bring you.
I haven't been to
you
a
sit down
buffet
to
in-
Old Country buffet. No.
I
Just
don't
picture
know.
yourself. You sit down to a Old Country buffet. You go up and you get.
When's the last time you went to
your
an Old Country
tray.
buffet?
I was probably 10. I loved it. Oh my gosh.
I was probably 15 and I did love it.
Oh no, maybe I went to like a CC's Pizza when the kids were really little. It's like $5 all you can eat pizza.
Yeah. CC, we have a lot of those here. It's awesome.
I don't know where any other one. I don't think there's any more in St. Louis right now. But so yeah, they're bringing you water. So CC's, you would have to get your own water. I think Old Country Buffet, they probably brought it to you. They did something. What do you
I think
tip?
it's the level of service. If they're, I don't know. To me,
What's
if
the
like they're picking up
baseline?
your plates and they're giving you water and they're, you know, whatever. If they're acting like a server, because really, what's the difference between that and they bring your food out to you?
Well, they would have to ask you, like, you know, what is your order? They're taking your order. That's like traditional wait service, like sit down.
They're fielding all
Yeah,
your
I think
dumb
it depends on the-
questions. How big is the portion?
Mhm.
Is there any salt in
Mhm.
this dish? You know, they have to deal with that kind
I'm
of
allergic
bull
to
crap.
mustard seed.
Yeah. I think it just.
Are you?
I don't know. What does the post say?
10%. I'm not.
Sure.
10%
Yeah.
seems probably right for that. I mean, I would probably. I don't know. I haven't been to a buffet. in
That's
so
right.
long,
That's-
so I can't tell.
move
It's like
on.
so hard to-
That's a
No
bad
point of
question.
reference.
All right. Bartender, what do you tip per drink on
Oh.
average? Emily Post says $1 to $2 per drink, or 15 to 20% of the tab.
I do 20%
Yeah,
of the tab.
typically 20%. Now,
Yeah.
I will.
I feel like
let me
one-
tell you one thing about a bar. I have a really hard and fast rule about club soda. You know, I love me some club soda. Club soda, it comes out of a gun, doesn't require the syrup. When a bar charges me, I'm talking about from a gun. If it's from a bottle, I get it. If they charge me for club soda, I take off the price of the club soda times 2 and tip them based off of that number. I cannot stand being
Is there a-
charged $5 for a club soda.
How much of a physical difference is there from them opening a bottle to?
I don't know,
grabbing the
but
gun
that
and
at least
pressing a
costs something. If they're getting it out of a gun, the cost of that is negligible. I mean, I'm asking for water essentially. So I have some strong feelings about that.
Would you tip for water, though?
No,
Really?
button. I probably would if they were awesome. I mean, if it was a cool.
but what do you
bartender, heck
mean for water? They don't like if
You
if
go
I
up to the bartender and ask for a water.
and he charges me $4, I'd look at him and go, "What the hell are you charging me $4 for?"
Yeah,
They're-
I think
it's
that's
free.
like kind of an
that's my
implausible
point.
situation.
Is the water is free, club soda is free. I'm buying drinks. Don't charge me for the
I
club
get
soda.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but the air conditioning.
I'm
and
paying for
there's a lot of
drinks.
things
I'm
that
not
aren't
just
free.
going and getting. If I was just getting a club soda, that'd be one thing. I'm
That's what
ordering
I'm saying.
cocktails.
If you're just getting club
Imagine-
soda.
Imagine Michael is homeless. He's walked into a bar to get a club soda and to experience the air conditioning. Okay.
What would homeless Michael be like?
All right. Let's move on. Let's move on. A doorman when you're traveling. Emily Post says a smile and a thanks when he opens the door, plus $1 to $4 for carrying luggage.
Yeah.
$1 to $2 for hailing cab.
Yeah. To me, those anytime we go to a hotel, I always make sure I have some cash. You know, ones,
And that
fives,
is
tens.
part of my point, which is when you're just going about your life and you run into a coffee shop and buy coffee, that's different than someone providing you with hospitality at a restaurant or a hotel. And so when I travel,
Mm-hmm.
I like to keep, dollars as well. And that's where I'm a whole lot more likely to say, thank you for making my movement through this space more comfortable and enjoyable, not thank you for doing your job, right? Like, I think, again, that's what the term gratuity insinuates. You're grateful.
Yeah.
What about grocery delivery? What do you think recommended? We've got bank rate says 15 to 20% of your total order for grocery delivery. I don't do grocery delivery, so I don't really know.
We don't do that either. We pick it up.
But DoorDash, kind of like food, to me is sort of the similar here. I guess they're maybe not shopping for you.
Restaurant.
This one I struggle a little bit with. One, because I have a hard time ordering anything DoorDash or like delivery, just because like you see that little bit of a price increase. And I'm not even a stickler for money, but there's something about it that I'm just like, dang, I could just go to the store if they're going to like mark up the prices. But it's tricky because I am less likely to want to be as generous on the tip, because you see like, buy $150 in groceries. What am I tipping the driver? $30? That's too much. But at the same time, I think, well, if I went out to a meal and spent $150, that's how much I tip the waitress. It's not like one did a whole lot more work than the other. So I actually don't know what my North Star is on food delivery or grocery delivery.
I feel like grocery delivery is, I'll take like DoorDash or something like that every once in a while. And it is so expensive. And when we have done grocery delivery before and it's so expensive, it's like, I will just go to the grocery store. Like, let me just go to the grocery store and save however much money. And then
that's another like too. It's like, it's basically like increase your grocery bill by 20%. And that, again, I don't know what the real difference is between that and a restaurant, but something about it feels a little less natural. Maybe that's just
I understand like doing it for like, when you think about what your time is worth and could you be using that time to do something that you have more passion for or will make you more money. Like, I understand that, but like on the...
Are we getting to valet?
Okay, valet. You want to do valet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be honest. I don't ever do valet because I'm, a cheapskate. So tell me about valet.
They also don't know how to drive your car.
My car. Several.
They'd see the key and be like, I don't know. How do I drive this thing?
I'm probably more generous with valet than almost anything. Depending on how far.
That's exactly it.
It is, because we actually did valet twice the other day, which might be the first time in my life I've ever done valet twice, but Coral broke her foot a while ago and like the walk was really far from the parking lot and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, let's just do this. And the first place, it was like, they had those guys running a quarter of a mile to go get the car. It was like, it was 100 degrees outside. I was like, yeah, I'm going to tip this really well. The second one, it was at a restaurant and they parked us right up front. And I still tip pretty decently, but I was like, man, it's like right there. Like I can walk over to the car. So
this is my conundrum. I like to see those valet people, work for it. And I'll give you a good tip. I will give you a tip. Because like, I remember roommates in college, they were valets. We were in Orlando, so they'd go do the resorts and things. And they made good money. But like, there's something, it feels like you should have to work for it because a lot of times you're just standing around unless you're running to or from a car. So if you're going to make some good money, then I feel like, you need to do a little hustle. Counterpoint, a lot of the times if they park me really close, when I come back to get my car, I'll just ask for the key and I'll go just get in my car. And sometimes I won't tip at all. I see my car. You're going to go get in it and drive it to me. I'll just go get in it.
If they're super courteous, if they open the door for my wife and like help her getting out of the car, they open the door for me and all that kind of stuff. And they're like really, really, they've got their game is good, then I'm like, yeah, I'll tip them more. Cause like there's that part of it too. The experience part of it, which I think is good. So I don't know. I don't need to see them like sweating necessarily, but like, dude,
I don't like them still smelling good.
Put some care into your work
from that morning. There's something about that.
But if they were sweating, then they're going to be in your car and stinky and
that's
getting
that
BO stank. So like they need to be like appropriately like deodorized and like bathe beforehand. Hygiene is important.
I see Ariel like
in your space.
Being the manager of a valet at a hotel or something, and she's like inspecting them before shift. Smelling.
Lift up your arm. Let me smell it.
But there's something too. There's the people that just like print out your ticket or whatever, write your ticket, and they're like, here you go. And then you just walk away. Or there's people who are like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are you doing today? Do you need any help with anything? Can I do this for you?
I actually feel like that's a good distinction because what I mean by the person who's parking right there, it's like when you go to a restaurant where you like have to valet, but they're just parking it in the parking lot. So we have a restaurant nearby. Half the time, like Monday through Thursday, they don't valet, but they valet Friday, Saturday. But that's just so that like, I mean, you could just park there. It's right next to the restaurant. Why am I paying you $10 to park my car right there? I can park it there.
Okay. Well, I have two more points about this that I want to cover. If you want to tip somebody, but if there's no way to tip a worker when you pay them, would you ask them about, like, if you have cash, obviously, like, you might want to give someone cash, but would you ask them if you can Venmo them
Give me a scenario here.
if it was a mover, but like, I feel like you'd go get cash in advance.
I mean, I think in those scenarios, if you're actually dealing with the individual, yeah, I'd Venmo them way before if I don't have cash. But in someone who's an employee of a company that I'm actually paying, I don't feel like I'd go ask them for their personal information to pay them separately from that.
Yeah, like if you're at a clothing store and like they do a great job, you're like, hey, can I Venmo you?
Yeah, I think, and that's part of just, there's something about that. It wouldn't be inappropriate to pull out a $20 bill and hand it to them. There's something about let me digitally send you money that, I don't know. I don't think we've crossed that zeitgeist yet as a society.
There is one scenario that bothers me that I just remembered that happened. And this is kind of unrelated, a little non sequitur. But we tried out mobile dog grooming for a dog. And it was an owner operated business. And the person came, they owned the company, came to the door, took our dog. And then they added like a tip. There was like a service fee or something to it. And I was like,
yes.
Wait a second. You own the company. Just build it into your prices.
Right.
Like, why am I tipping you on top? That part, and I still did it, but I was like, this doesn't even make sense from a business model standpoint. Like, I'm tipping you. You own the company. You're going to get the profit out of this anyway. So, like, if you want that much money, just build it into your pricing. Like, why are you doing a tip?
Yes. Very much.
I thought it was strange.
Do you think that was set up so, like, when they do have employees at some point, that will be built in?
I'm sure. Or it just increases their average order value or something. There's probably some magic.
Or maybe they really didn't think about it too much too.
That could be. I mean, it could just be the payment processor that they were using just automatically has that or has it as an option. And they're like, yeah, we'll add that in. But I think that if you're the owner of a company, expecting a tip is odd because it's like you're providing the service yourself and you own the company and you're going to assume any profits that come from it anyway. So why not just change your prices? So anyway, but it might be the same thing. Like maybe it seems like their prices are cheaper on the website before they hit you with the tip and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. This is the last one. They say, show appreciation for favors too. You may tip a professional, but you're unlikely to pay and tip a friend who's helping you move your couch. Paying back a
not
friend
at this
with a
company,
meal
Ariel.
Or a favor in turn is a kind gesture when you receive help for free. So how do you feel about like if a friend does something for you for free that like does like moving, I think is a great example. You know, pizza and beer, that's how you pay them generally that's right. Yeah. But are there other situations? How would you tell a friend like?
Well, there's a difference between a friend and a friend. Like, I'm not going to get into a pattern of paying my like real true friends a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. They pay me like, no, that's all flush. You know, we've talked about this kind of thing before. I don't want to get involved with that. If it's like someone I just kind of know and they didn't have to come help, yeah, I may consider, throwing them a $50 bill or something for helping me move. But like a true friend, no, you don't want to get into like paying each other and tipping each other. I don't like that. I would feel a true friend of mine, like if I thought someone was a true friend and they tried to tip me something, I would take offense to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I'd take offense to it or not. I've never seen that though. Like, but I don't think any of my friends would take any money from me. Like I even if I tried, they would be like, no, man, like don't even worry about that. And I wouldn't take money from them either. So I think that there's kind of that natural, like, no, I'm just going to do something good for you. And
I'll buy you a drink the next time we're out or something like that. Let me grab let's go out to eat or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah, definitely. We pay each other in like beers or something like that.
High fives. Anything else about tips you want to share?
I think we should be a society that cares for each other and thanks each other and is grateful. But when these systems come in that just formalize and standardize gratuity, then at that point, let's just bake it into the pie and quit being which is not my preference. I don't prefer that. I would prefer to have the opportunity to be generous. But when you feel over and over again, like that percentage is going up, of how grateful you need to be, or when it's asked everywhere you go throughout the day, you do get a little jaded and a little tired. And I think, like I said, I think I've kind of swung around not to being less generous in the situations that call for it, but to just kind of saying no a lot quicker in scenarios that I don't feel are, that don't make sense.
Yeah, I think that in situation like how this has all changed, how these like the point of sale systems and the expectations with tipping, I think when that stuff does happen, like question it, like why is it changing? Why am I doing this? What does this mean to me? Instead of just like going with it. And I think we are at a point where we are questioning those new norms, and I think that's good.
All right.
You could give me a tip because I was so nice with that answer or something,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that payroll ran recently.
No, that's just that's her 213. Where's the tip on top of it?
Yeah. Yep. It's a cherry on top of the sundae.
Yep.
All right, Bobby.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Check out the description below if you want to learn more about the Questionable Decisions podcast. We've got a lot of content coming out. Like a lot. Ariel's a rock star now. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but she's been cranking out some content. The whole team is putting out content, so you might have seen a restructure of how we're doing the YouTube channel. But we hope that you enjoy what we're doing, and see you next time.